Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Auburn Undercover podcast on the 24/7 Sports Network. Christian Clemente here, joined by Jason Caldwell, and joined by a very special guest, one who needs no introduction over the last week that everyone has followed in men's golf. Auburn men's golf head coach Nick Clinard, the national champion. Nick, do you think it's been a little under a week now, but do you think that's ever going to get old here, a national champion?
National champions, you know what? That sounds pretty good, Christian. I like that. That's got a nice ring to it.
It does. Does it? Has it sunk in yet? It's been kind of a whirlwind. There's so much travel involved. Is it starting to sink in? But I know you kind of kick into the next season for guys in summer golf and qualifiers and Memorial and all kind of stuff going on.
All that good stuff going on is all good problems, right?
Yes.
I don't know, Jason. 2,000 text, and I started summer camp today, so went straight from winning a national championship to right into camp. So right back down to reality. But, it has. All the congratulatory texts from so many different peers and mentors and friends and just over the last couple of days has been very humbling and just obviously very grateful for the success that we've had. And, sometimes when I get a chance to slow down and actually get some sleep and spend some time with my family, I think we're going to really try to enjoy it and realize how difficult it is to win a national championship.
Yeah, that was what someone was asking about on the message board, actually. Just asking about how hard is it to build up a program even to get to that point? You mentioned it at Toomer's Corner during the big celebration. All the former players, the former coaches, everyone, all the building blocks. How important were they for this building to this team in this season?
Well, it's huge. Listen, they laid the foundation and the standards of this program long before I got here and long before the players that just won the national championship. They set it in motion. They had a vision, and listen, when I got here, we just tried to expand on that vision. We kept recruiting at a high level and trying to get the right fits culturally and the right fits for Auburn and the Auburn family and represent this university. And, we've been lucky enough to do that. And then we were lucky enough to execute and perform when it matters. And under the biggest pressure and the biggest moments. And, but it is, when you reflect on it too, I think you have to be able to sit down and reflect and realize what you've accomplished and win national championships. You could be one of the greatest coaches in the world and coach the rest of your life and not win a national championship. Doesn't matter what sport it is. So we're very, very blessed.
I don't know when it was. It might have been even during football season. It was early in the fall, probably. And we were talking, and you said, "Look, this team has the talent to do it." What's it like when you know the pieces are in place, and you say, "Okay, look, it's just a matter of it falling into place, but the pieces are there." What's that feeling like when you go and get into a season and go, "Okay, we've got the horses now to go do this"?
It's comforting, you got the skill and you got the talent, and then it's a matter of just trying to gel it all together. Right, because you got to be on the same page. You can't have a bunch of personal agendas and guys worried about their stat lines and their scoring averages, and they got to play hard for themselves. But they also got to play hard for their families and for the brand on the shirt, the university, and their teammates. And we were able to kind of make sure that culture fit. And we got great locker room leadership, and it just all kind of fell into place. But our skill set and our team, and there's no doubt the talent level was high, but we were able to capitalize on that, and it all worked out for us.
Nick, what can you say about one of the old guys in the locker room and JM Butler? Jason and I were talking about it last week. He's 5th for y'all in stroke play out there in California. And then he comes out and he never trails at any point during match play. What is it about him that is just, why is he so good in match play? How does he unlock that, a different player almost?
I think it's just a mindset thing for him. He struggled a little bit with his golf swing. He had switched teachers. He went back to his old teacher earlier this spring and had 2 wins and kind of got back on track a little bit. But golf's a fickle game, as you guys know. You play, and it's not easy. It's not easy. And
it's not fickle. It's more than that.
It's just downright hard, right? But it changes every week. And he won twice, but he'd struggled some. Had some 50-place finishes. Which isn't up to a 2-time All-American standards. But match play, he's just tough. Like he's got a lot of dog in him, and he wants to compete. And I think it just frees him up a little bit, to be honest. He's not worried as much about where the ball's going to go and driving it in the fairway. I think he's able to play JM Butler golf, and he's tough as nails. I mean, the guy trains like he's like Muhammad Ali or something, you know. But he just, listen, at the end of the day, man, he's got a lot of dog in him. And he wants the ball. He wants the ball. It's just like a star basketball player. He wants the ball with 5 seconds to go, and that's the kind of player he is.
You mentioned teachers, and these guys have a lot of different guys that they work with, and you guys work with them, and there's analytics involved.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see that come together when, because people I think people that are golf watchers, they see whether it's PGA Tour guys, they'll watch them on a range, and they have the TrackMan. You guys have all that analytic stuff, all the things to be able to work with guys too. But how does it all come together when it's a team aspect too? Because like I said, you got more than one guy, and there's more than one person you're trying to work with. It's almost a never ending process. Isn't it?
It is. Listen, they got all these different teachers, which is great. And some of them work with Mark Blackburn, some of them work with Scott Hamilton and Eric Eshelman and Sean Hogan and yada, yada, yada. But ultimately, those guys teach them and we manage it, and we're using the quad and the TrackMan, and we're giving, data, and we're making sure they understand what they're looking at too. They're looking at attack angles or paths or swing directions and spin rates and, ceiling heights with their golf ball from a trajectory standpoint. All this stuff may sound foreign to some people listening, but all that analytic stuff is really, really important, because at this level, the elite level, like the minute details can mean winning and losing. And these guys being dialed in on their equipment and dialed in exactly what they're working on technically and making sure they understand why and how I go about it. Because I think the golf swing is all feelings and it's not thoughts. And he's got to have the right feelings to accomplish what they're trying to do with their teacher. And, what kind of ball flight is it going to, produce as well. And it's just more of them trying to learn about their game. And we're just trying to teach them and coach them and make sure that they're not only play well right now, but also in the future as pros.
I think something that somebody pointed out to me and to us was how very different the guys look. Brendan Valdez's swing is way different than most anybody you're going to find. Mm-hmm. But Jackson's really fast. I mean, they're very different. And you're right.
They are.
Having to manage those guys and do it, it's more of a mental part of it, and to make sure they're in a good spot, in a good place, and making sure they're ready to go.
Yeah, swing your swing too, right? I mean, Valdez is a crazy gifted athlete, and some of the stuff actually he does in his golf swing, not many guys can do. Just because of how mobile he is and how supple his body moves and how strong and fast he is. And I mean, he's moving the golf ball's moving at 185 miles per hour when it leaves the club face with a driver with him, which is crazy fast. But a lot of it is mental. You mentioned Koivun swings fast. We're trying to slow him down. So I go with him every round this spring, every shot. And when he starts getting fast, he can't hit a shot till I get there. So I just walk slower. I mean, you might have saw in the match play against Ohio State, we're in extra holes, and he goes and sits on the bench, and I go sit beside him, and I'm not letting him get up until I'm done talking to him. Because I know he's moving too fast. Like, he's just going to get up there and hit it. And his mind's racing. And it's like, you just got to slow him down. And there's other guys that are different. So you just got to know your personality. You got to know your guys. Like, you got to know their personalities, what makes them tick, and how to talk to them, and, and how to challenge them and how to encourage them. And you got to coach them all differently. But it is a mental thing, and it's a mindset thing. It's just more of how they are. It's not necessarily like they don't have self-belief. Listen, they have a ton of confidence. It's more about just making sure that their mind is clear and in the right spot.
Yeah, people were asking, I mean, is that on game days? Is that what you're kind of doing? I mean, you mentioned you're going with Jackson all throughout the spring, but what are you trying to do on a game day in terms of with Jackson, with the team, making sure everyone is okay, and all the assistants out there as well, just trying to manage everything, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, as a team, listen, we're always just trying to get them to play like athletes. We don't want them to think too much. We won't want them to think about their golf swing too much. We don't really want them to think about the stakes. They're aware. Listen, awareness is huge, right? They're aware that we're playing for the national championship, but we also want them just to play like athletes, look and react. And we're talking about that, making sure they're focused on every shot. Give me 40 seconds on every shot, and then to make sure they play with freedom. And make sure they have a high self-belief. So stuff that we talk about all the time. And I don't think it's anything that's out of the ordinary. And then, when I'm one-on-one with guys like Jackson, like I'm getting numbers. I mean, we got 177 flag, 65 front, wind's coming off your right shoulder, a little bit of help. This is how much pitch we have. We're marking pitches in practice round, like an 8 irons bouncing 18 feet, a 5 irons bouncing 22 feet. and all that's marked in their yardage book, as is a compass. You know, we don't want any guessing when we're out there. So it's just like what they're doing on the PGA Tour. We're just trying to educate them now when they're young, so when they get on tour, they're ready to go.
You mentioned pitch, and I talked to you early on when you guys were in California. Like, look, this is a very different golf course. It played very different. I mean, it was a almost open style when you get wind and no rain, and they're playing in the Open or a U.S. Open if it gets firm and fast. I mean, there were balls that were bouncing, pitching, and that is not normal. And that took some getting used to, didn't it?
It did. It took us a little longer than it should have to get used to it. And we had certain greens like number 8, number 13, number 2. They pitched more. For whatever reason, they were a little bit firmer. So you got to be, once again, you got to have awareness. The guys that are really, really good players have a little bit more of that probably than the average player has. But you got to have those notes in your yardage book. You can't just try to rely on the memory bank. And you got to pay attention to wind directions too, because you get downwind, it takes the spin off of it, and it's going to bounce and pitch even more.
How would you say that course kind of stacks up in terms of all the courses that y'all played throughout this season?
It was a good golf course. I mean, we obviously played Cypress Point, so I don't know if you can
compare. Yeah, very different.
Cypress Point's pretty sweet. But La Costa was great. I thought it was a wonderful venue. I thought the Rowling family had done a wonderful job in their commitment to college golf. You get to stay on site. You get your meals on site. You can walk to the putting green, walk to the range. I thought that was a huge bonus. I thought the golf course tested every part of your game. Like you had to be able to chip it, pitch it, and lag putt, and you had to be able to drive it, and you had to be able to hit good iron shots. Like if you didn't have ball control and controlling your trajectory and your spin rates coming into the greens, you couldn't compete. And I think that's what a major championship golf course does. And I think once it grows in more, because we were the women's team was the first one to play it the week prior because it's gone under a renovation, and I think another year of grow in is going to be very beneficial for it. So we're excited to have that there for a couple of years at least.
We mentioned Memorial. Jackson wins the Nicholas Award and adds to the number of the clean sweep of awards for him this year. You've coached a lot of really good players. What was it about this season that turned it into? I mean, it's as good a golf season as we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, arguably, as a team, arguably the best in the history of college golf. But Jackson Koivun is the first player, Jason, to sweep all the awards ever.
Yes.
Ever.
As a freshman.
So, I mean, think about that. Like, I hope the Auburn family understands what they have sitting right in front of them. They have the best player that's arguably played college golf. I mean, what an incredible season he's had. And he's just so mature, and he's so competitive, and he drives it great, and he's the best putter I've ever coached in 23 years. And that's saying a lot because I've had Andrew Kozan and Blaine Barber and Ben Schlotman, some of you guys that can flat out roll the rock, and he's the best I've ever seen. I mean, inside 10 feet, it's like, the guys on our team were like, that's a waste of time making it.
Yeah, putting competitions don't go well.
No, they all want him on the team. I can promise you that. But yeah, it's incredible. That's what it takes as a team. You got to have some studs. And we had 2 first-team All-Americans this year. That's the difference. Brennan Valdez and Jackson Koivun. And when you have 2 first-team All-Americans, you're probably going to have a chance to win championships.
Well, we talk about that from a football perspective and a basketball perspective. In every sport, you look at it and you go, talent acquisition is the number one key to success.
It helps.
That's it. I mean, you look at it and you go, yeah, it helps when you start going, number one player in the country, and you start bringing those guys in. Oh, by the way, you get to add another one of those guys this year. That's the key, isn't it? Like you just, I mean, it's more than pointing them in the right direction, but it's to help. It's a pretty good starting point, isn't it?
It's a great starting point. I mean, hey, we had Cam Newton in the getting the ball in his hands.
That's it.
We gave the ball to Jackson Koivun, same as giving it to Cam Newton every play. It's not a bad start.
Nick, I mean, quickly, how does golf recruiting work? Because in all honesty, I have no idea. How does that process work? When does it start for these kids? When do y'all start having contact with them? I mean, it seems like a crazy process.
It is. It's just like any other sport. It's wild. It's without getting in too depth. I mean, you got the parents, you got agents. All these kids now out of 10th grade have agents. As crazy as that may sound. And
the ones you're recruiting anyway.
Yeah, the ones we're recruiting, the best of the best, right? June 15th, after 10th grade, we're allowed to text, email, or call. So that's coming up. I got 12 more days. I got to be ready to go, ready to rock and roll, and who I'm calling and who I'm texting, who we're going after in that class. And just like anything else, we got to get them on campus. If we can get them on campus, we can win the battle, because Auburn is special and we got a lot to sell if we can get them on campus. If we don't get them on campus, we got no chance. So I think it's very similar in our sport than it is in other sports. But it's just constant communication and making them understand, that they're valued and wanted, and making sure they feel comfortable with the guys on the team and the direction of the program and the vision of the program, and know that they're, mom and dad know that that we're going to love and care about them and take care of them as much off the golf course as we are on the golf course. So I don't think it's any different in our sport than it is, basketball and football.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty good to be able to pick up that phone in a couple of weeks, and these are guys that watch and pay attention, because they're the next guys up. They pay attention to this, and to be on Golf Channel and to have these things televised, that has to be a huge step, to get a foot in the door when you start talking to these players. When you go, hey, yeah, by the way, did you see us win the national championship?
It is. Listen, it's a huge step, and as is the SEC, and as is the city of Auburn, the community of Auburn, and our facilities and the academic component. Listen, we have a lot to sell. We have a lot to sell, and we're just an incredible town, and incredible people, and incredible campus, and the academics are first class, and everything's close. We got 3 private clubs within 5 miles of campus. We got the AU club 2 miles away, and we got 30 acres, and we got some of the best indoor facilities in the country, and we got 4 TrackMans and a quad and a virtual green, and we got it all. So guys want to come and they want to be taken care of on and off the golf course, and they want to play at the elite level and prepare for the tour, then Auburn's a good place to be.
Yeah, I think after the last couple of weeks, it might be less you making phone calls, and you might be picking up the phone here on June 15th. I think you're going to have plenty of suitors.
It'd be nice to get to the point where you don't really recruit, you just kind of pick.
That's it. You go, hey, we choose you.
I don't know if we're there yet, but we're working towards that. We've been very lucky. We've been very lucky to get the guys that we have. That we got a great group of guys that love Auburn and want to be here.
For you, obviously the national championship and finishing out so strong. But what are just some of your favorite memories from this season outside of the end? Early tournaments, moments, just things like that.
I'd say the first tournament of the year. The Maui Gym out in Phoenix. They're taking a bunch of guys. I want to say we took 8 or 9 guys, and just being around some of those young guys, and they're just kind of naive and not knowing what to expect, and going out there and winning that tournament and shooting 56 under. And I was like, all right, well, we might be pretty good this year,
yeah.
And then we go to the SEC fall preview and we shoot 41 under and we win by 13. Then we play 1 round of match play and beat Vanderbilt in extra holes, and I remember that, and then just kind of getting onto the roll and just. But I think more than anything, just traveling with the guys. In our sport, we only travel with 5, 6, 7 guys, and you get to know them on a personal level, and heck, you get to know them so well, you know what they smell like. So it's just, I think it's special. It's just special to be around those guys, and we have a lot of fun. We try to keep it fun too. My assistants and myself, because if you're not having fun, then it's becomes more of a job, and that's not what we want.
You talked about it, and me and you have talked about it before, but did you ever envision yourself thinking, I'm gonna be a college golf coach? Because you just kind of jumped into this, and you mentioned it because we talked about it one time. Steve Sloan was a guy that was very instrumental in your career, and obviously just passed away. But how did this thing start for you?
Coach Sloan. Actually, Coach Sloan recruited my brother. My brother played college football and played for Al Groh and Bill Dooley. And but anyway, Coach Sloan recruited him. The job opened at UCF in 2001, and I called him. I just got done playing professionally. I knew I didn't want to play pro golf anymore, and trying to figure out what I want to do. I was 28 years old, and I called him. He's like, "How's your brother? How's your mom and dad?" And I was like, "All right, I got an in on this deal." But long story short, he we sat down and we talked, and he gave me the job, and he didn't offer me much money and didn't offer me any health insurance or benefits. And I was like, hell yeah, I'll take it. It's a lot more money I've been making playing pro golf. But he gave me the start, and I'm forever grateful for that. He was very instrumental in my career, And I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, listen, I know golf, but I didn't know what I was doing when dealing with young people, and I just learned on the fly. And I think sometimes that's the best way to learn. I just went to work. I didn't have an assistant coach. It was just me. And by the time I'd left there 8 years later, we were the 10th ranked team in the country, and we had won 2 Conference USA championships, and we had won an NCAA regional championship. And I don't know. I recruited the state of Florida like crazy, and didn't really complain about what I had and didn't have, and I was just very grateful for the opportunity. But I never really envisioned kind of being a college coach when I got into it. I was just trying to find my path and my calling and figure out what I would do in life. I wasn't really sure. Like my whole life, I majored in communications, and my whole life was geared to play the PGA Tour. And then when I was 28 and that dream was not going to come true, I was like, I don't know, what am I going to do in life? I had no idea. But, I fell in love with it, and I fell in love with dealing with young people. And I'm probably hyper competitive. It's my way of still competing, but not actually having to hit the shot. And I still enjoy that to this day. Like I can't hit the shots that these guys hit on my team, but I see them. I feel like I can hit them, but when I try to hit them, they don't come out the same way.
Is it tougher to watch them not knowing you don't have any impact, or knowing that, man, these guys are better than me, I trust them?
That is something I've learned as a coach. I used to probably, 15 years ago, I'd want to step in. I'm going to step in to try to hit the shot for them almost. And I've learned now. Like I thought I did a pretty good job at the final match against Florida State of trying to back off. I used to, even 2 of the holes, I even walked in the gallery with JM in that final match. Then I'd kind of pop into the ropes and see if he needed anything. But I kind of let him be him. And I just kept telling him, he's like, what do you think? I said, just be you. Just keep doing you. And I kind of just stayed out of it a little bit too. I just knew I knew less was more. And I knew it was not a time to overcoach. But in the past, I probably would have tried to step in and almost like I'd want to hit the shot for him. But I've learned a lot, and I've learned when to open my mouth and when to keep my mouth shut.
Kind of on that note, I mean, obviously you have a lot of other responsibilities, but how often do you still get out to go out and play?
I don't. I could play a lot more probably if I wanted to be honest, Christian. I just, I mean, I've had shoulder surgery. I've had back surgery. It doesn't feel the same anymore. Mm-hmm. So it kind of hurts, to be honest. I probably need to get in a little bit better shape and ramp up if I wanted to do it. But ever since I've had kids, if I have any free time, I'm a workaholic. So all I do is really work and recruit. And I don't know anything else, to be quite honest. But if I have any free time at all, I want to spend it with my wife and my kids.
Yeah, I resemble that.
But I'll say this. I do. I mean, I played Pine Valley last summer, and I played Augusta in January, and so I don't turn down some really good invitations. I can promise you that.
I wish I could make that little world's smallest violin. You say I don't have to make you feel bad about playing those 2 places. But
that's pretty good. But I do enjoy playing. I enjoy the company more than I do the golf. I'll say that. Because my mind still sees, I still see that I can play like I used to play in my teenagers in my early 20s. But I can't hit the shots anymore.
Correct. I know I was get back out there and start hitting balls again. I'm like, man, 20 years ago, I'd hit a little cut into here and I'd be pretty good. And now I hit it and I'm like, that's more like a shank. That's not more like a cut. So,
I played with the guys before NCAA regional. So after SECs, after final exams, I went up and played Wade Hampton with the guys. And I talked them into giving me 6 shots. And I played about 6,700 yards and I shot 73. And boy, were they complaining.
Yeah,
6 shots, 6 shots, and then they gave me 2 shots the next day at Peachtree in Atlanta, and I shot 73 again, and so I cleaned them up a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah, that'll play. That'll play. I'm used to Jason cleaning me up on the course. So.
Yeah, the 73 is long gone.
I don't know. I've seen Jason swing it. He's pretty good.
I can still hit it. I can
He's got
still
some
hit
game.
it good, and it'll still go the direction I want it to go. It just doesn't go nearly far enough for me to start scoring because
You can
that's
move up and tease. You can move up and tease.
You know how it is though. It's hard to make that step to go. I'm gonna go up here and play this next one.
It's called as that ego gets in the way.
That is, and you go, yeah, I can get that orange tee, and then I go, yeah, I'm hitting a 4-iron in. I don't need to be hitting a 4-iron any longer.
That's no fun.
Yeah, they're hitting 4-irons in on 600-yard par fives now.
When I go play Augusta, I play the member tees, and I got like 9-iron and wedge in every hole, and I'm like, this is what Dustin Johnson feels like when he plays in the Masters.
That's right. This is what Bryson DeChambeau feels like every time.
No wonder they love golf so much. This is easy.
Yes.
I mean, you can't shoot over par. But different sport, different game, I guess.
Speaking of different sports, you're a sports guy.
Yeah.
Right? You're invested in sports on campus. You're there. How much fun is it to be where you're able? I mean, we see on Saturdays before games, and you're bringing recruits to football games. You're on the sidelines.
Yeah.
How much fun is that to be that invested and to support the other coaches on campus?
Oh, it's a blast for me. I love it. Like I'm a huge I read all you guys' articles last night on all the official visits. You know, I'm like, we need that Cunningham kid to sign up. You know, I'm reading about the 5-star cornerback, but I love it. You know, I'm a big basketball, football fan. You know, obviously grew up in North Carolina, so it was mostly basketball then. But I became a huge football fan, and I follow it, to the T of what's going on. And listen, I try to learn a lot from the coaches, to be quite honest. I know they probably don't know that, but I'm watching how they interact with players. I'm watching what they do on recruiting visits, official visits, unofficial visits. In the past, I've even sat down with like the football staff to learn from them. Because listen, they're the best recruiters. They're the best of the best. And like whatever they do, I want to do. So I think that's one of the things that I really enjoyed. But going to games, basketball, football, baseball games, Auburn is electric. You know, it still gives me goosebumps and chills when I go to some of those games. And I just got to make sure I don't stand up and start yelling at the refs. Because when I go to those games, I'm a season ticket holder. You know, I take my coaching hat off, and all of a sudden I'm a fan.
That's it.
You know? So, but no, I love it. I'm their biggest fans, and I just wish them all the success in the world. And I also know selfishly, the better they do, the better I do. Because in men's golf recruiting, that they want to go where winners are, and they want to be at winning football schools and winning basketball schools and winning baseball schools.
Going back real quick just to pro golfers, are there any guys out there on the tour right now that you feel like your guys really like to watch or really like to model their game or swings after, or any guys that even you kind of like to watch?
I think they like the guys that make a lot of money.
Yeah.
They like, I don't know. Listen, they're all Tiger Woods fans. How could you not be? I mean, he moves the needle. He moves our guys when he plays. People watch. I just think they have a lot of respect for a lot of players. I mean, whether it be John Rahm or Max Homa or, Justin Thomas or whoever it may be, I think they really love they just love good competition and watching great players play the game. So it's interesting to see, who they pick in the Masters pool or whoever they pick in the U.S. Open or whatever. So they have some friendly little games that they do that's for fun, but it is interesting to watch. But they do love watching it, and they're kind of golf junkies, to be quite honest.
I mean, we grew up in an era where we didn't get to see Jack Nicklaus in his prime, but when we were younger, our favorite golfer was Jack Nicklaus. Almost everybody was. It was either Arnold Palmer or Jack Nicklaus. These guys didn't see Tiger Woods in his prime either. But it's really wild that that's still the guy. I mean, it just shows you. I'm sure it's the game for them, probably, right?
Jason, I'm kind of smiling and laughing inside because John Cohen called me today, and he was in the hitting bays yesterday, hitting some balls, and Jackson Koivun was in there.
Yeah.
And Jackson Koivun won the Nicklaus Award, which is Player of the Year, and he's got to accept the award tomorrow from Jack Nicklaus in Columbus, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And John told me, he goes, "You won't believe what happened yesterday." And I'm like, "All right, okay, whatever." And he goes, I asked Jackson, I said, "Are you excited to meet the Golden Bear?" And Jackson's like, "Who's that?"
Who is that?
He's like, he didn't know who the Golden Bear was.
I bet fell over backwards.
But he knows who Jack Nicklaus is. He didn't know that he was called the Golden Bear.
Yes.
So anyway, I just thought that was a funny story to share. That happened today or yesterday, but I found about today. So
Well, at least he
good
found
stuff.
out before he got up there, and somebody asked him in a press conference or something. So at least he knows now.
You know what, though, Jason? We got to watch Tiger Woods in his prime.
Correct.
You know, and these kids didn't. They don't know how good Tiger was because they're seeing him at, after 12 surgeries and car accidents and all the issues.
And they can and you can watch highlights and it
Yeah.
shows you how good he was. But
it's not the same though. It's not the same as watching it live.
Like watching it in real time and going, holy cow, this is like the 2000 year especially was one year like, and we're seeing one of those types of years now. But it still doesn't look the same. It doesn't look like that.
It doesn't. It just doesn't get. It's not as electric, right? I mean, Tiger had this thing. He was Michael Jordan. He was something that was unique and special, and he helped the game of golf. Look at all the purses now in professional golf. Look what they are. They're playing for millions and millions of dollars, and all thanks to Tiger Woods. He drove the TV revenue.
Yeah. For you, you mentioned it, but this brief glimpse ahead to next season, because we've had people going, "Hey, what's it look like?" And you got a couple of really good ones coming in.
Yeah,
you got some good ones left over. The goal, you said the goal remains the same. Jackson said it. Players have said it. Look, you got there once now. Okay. It's like Chicago, but you mentioned Michael Jordan. This is 1997. Here you go.
Hey, listen, that's what we want, though. I think any great competitor wants that. We'll play the number one schedule in the country next year. So we're going to play week in and week out. It's going to be like the NFL, which is great. I think that's what we want to do. We got the players to do it, and we have multiple opportunities. We play 5 tournaments next year where the winner gets into a PGA Tour event.
Wow.
So I think that's pretty cool, number one. But we got the nucleus coming back. We got Billy Davis and Tyler Spillman coming in as freshmen, and Billy comes in as the best player in the country in junior golf. And it all depends on how fast those freshmen, Tyler and Billy, acclimate too. Are they going to come off running like Jackson Koivun, or are they going to be a little bit slower to kind of figuring out who they are and trying to figure out where everything is and where to eat and where to study and where to live. And there's a lot more to it for a freshman than just performing on the golf course. But we got everybody back outside of JM and Alex that were big time contributors to, from the starting lineup standpoint. So I feel pretty good about it. We should be preseason one in the country, I would assume, and I think we have a chance to run it back if we play well at the right time.
You mentioned getting in. The winner gets in a PGA Tour event.
Mm-hmm.
That how impactful has that PGA Tour university been? Because Jackson's now a guy that can be invested in playing college golf for a while because in the long run, it's going to benefit him on the profession. How beneficial has it been to keep guys in school that may have said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go make a run now? It's keeping guys in school and giving them an opportunity to kind of build some resume and get a head start in it.
I think it's huge. I think it's the best thing that's happened to college golf in a long, long time. It's basically a draft. Is what it is. And I think you mentioned it, you nailed it on the head, is it keeps kids in school. I think it's very valuable because I think, listen, I'm an education guy. I think education is important. I know we never talk about it anymore. I haven't read an article in 2 years talks about education. But I think it's important. And I think it can get guys, I think NIL can keep guys in school too, and where they can get their education. And then the PGA Tour is not going to go anywhere. You can play individual golf for 30 more years. It's a little bit different in our sport than maybe the NFL, where your average career is less than 4 years. Whereas in golf, you can play for 30 years if you're good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I think PGA Tour U and NIL, and I think all those things have been wonderful for our players, to be honest.
Or you can head on over to the Live Tour, and everyone is going to start arguing now in the comments.
That's a tough one. I mean, if they call Jackson Koivun tomorrow and offer him $15 million,
it's hard to fault someone.
Maybe we're having a different conversation. I don't know. That's a lot of money.
I can promise you that they want to call and offer me any percentage of that, then I'll be okay for a little while. Nobody will come watch me play either, but that's okay.
Call and offer me $15 million. Maybe I'll go play and you can caddy.
I'll hire the next guy to caddy with my paycheck. That's what I'll do. So
I'll tell you what, there's not a better time in the world to be a caddy than right now.
No, it's there's pretty good livings being made for
There is.
caddies. That's why there's guys that are sticking around and doing it for a long time too.
Yeah.
So
Right now, there is. Purses are high. The live tour, they're really high. So they don't play a lot over there anymore either on that tour.
yeah. Shorter weeks that'll work too.
15 weeks a year, and you get
54
weeks
holes
off. Not a bad deal. If you got to be good though. If you're good at golf, it's not a bad deal.
Or you can just collect that paycheck right up front. Call it a day.
I guess. I don't know.
Jason, any parting thoughts?
I'm good. I think I just, I'm glad we got a chance to sit down, and obviously, me and Christian see you a good bit. We come out there and bug you and hit a couple of golf balls here or there, but I think people have enjoyed this run, and we just wanted to give folks a little bit, maybe a look under the hood of what college golf was about, because I think
it's crazy. It's Friday night for that ceremony. We sold, I wouldn't say we, but the team shop right there on College Street sold $30,000 in national championship apparel for golf.
Yes.
Can't believe it.
Well, I'm telling you, the swinging,
shocked.
if you'd have had a truckload of swinging Albie hats the next day, every one of them you could have got your hands on, you would have sold. And it's that I think people, and golf is a sport that everybody can play. You mentioned you play for 30 years. Well, yeah, you can play for a lot longer than that. Not at the PGA Tour level, but I think people can connect because they're like, now they might not be able to do it like Jackson Koivun, but they go, man, one time I hit a shot like that. Nobody's ever swimming the 50-yard freestyle in 10 seconds or whatever it is. You're not doing those things. But I think people connected, and I really hope that it allows this sport to kind of take off a little more. And the tough part is that you don't have 8 home games. That's the different part of it. But you do, have some opportunities for folks to see. And I think the next step is whether it's Golf Channel or people at a minimum start to stream a few more tournaments, because I think the interaction engagement, I think it's shown that it's there.
Yeah, I think the Golf Channel has made a big difference, because otherwise people wouldn't even know he won. But now they're tuning in, they're seeing it on TV, and it's the power of TV, right? People I've had many people say, I've never watched golf my whole life, but I was glued to the TV Wednesday for the final match. And they were like, it was so stressful, just watching it. So, I mean, I think that's great for our sport. I think it's moving in the right direction. But I think you're right. If we could stream more of them and get it on TV, that'd be even. But, the cost of TV production is pretty high. So we don't sell a lot of tickets.
No, that's all right. But you can do it in other ways. So
that's true. That's true. Well, I appreciate you guys.
All right. Thanks, bro. We appreciate it.
All right, man. You guys are always welcome. Come out and practice anytime you want to, okay?
Well, I'm going to need some work on the game before then, or work with you. See that?
You got to work at it. I'll help you. Just let me know.
See, winning the national championship is impressive, but if you can fix my golf game, that tops it all. I mean, I can
fix it. Just come see me. Just shoot me a text or something. I'll be happy to help you, man.
Okay.
Happy to. Okay?
I'm in. All right.
I got to get you to beat Jason. He won't ever hear the end of it.
Look, I can hit it past Jason.
No, yeah, he hits it further than I do. But
we got to hit it straight though. We got to find it.
Yeah. Jason's back 50 yards in the fairways. I'm digging through the AU Club trees looking for the ball.
I can help you out. Just let me know when. Okay.
Sounds good.
All
Thank
right,
you for
hopping on.
Good.
Okay, man. See you.